I'ma say it one time.
Running shit.
And I'ma say that.
Running shit.
Hey guys, welcome back to the third official Off the Cuff podcast, where we've got our second official guest, Grace Sveen. Grace, how you doing today?
I'm doing good. How about you?
Wonderful.
That's good.
So, you're our second guest star here. For those that don't know you, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm 18, if you're wondering. I go to Stortville High School, and I don't know, I'm kind of on the road for entrepreneur. I don't know how to say that.
Entrepreneur.
Being an entrepreneur.
Entrepreneurial.
Sure, I do a lot of stuff. I do photography, I teach dance and gymnastics in a couple towns. Trying to build my company, I guess, but there's a lot.
So you're starting a little bit like with the photography side. You're doing a little bit like with weddings, I know, and doing a couple of those.
Yeah, I got 3 weddings coming up. I get to travel for them, which is kind of cool. I'll be going to Florida for one, Chicago for one, and then the other one's just in Winona, so it's like, but it's exciting. Kind of nervous.
So
but
how did you
big
start
trips.
like getting interested in photography?
I guess so. Sorry, that was like loud. I got a camera like 6 years ago, just like a junky camera, and I just kind of messed around with it. My neighbor's my cousin, so he took pictures a lot, but I just realized I wasn't terrible at it, I don't think. But then I got another camera, got rid of that one, then I just purchased a really nice one, and people said they liked what I did, so they just asked me if I could take like family pictures and just portraits and business pictures and a ton of stuff like that. And then the more people asked, the more I was like, oh, maybe I could actually do this a little bit for a living. But yeah.
Just decided to roll with it.
And so how do you like, when talking about getting better, because you're like, yeah, I was like pretty good at taking pictures. I was thinking about this today, like, how do you get better at taking pictures? Is it just like learning how to use like different cameras and stuff like that?
I was gonna say, is there like different like feature
Because
setups that you can?
like we're filming this podcast right now, and I have no idea what I'm doing,
Yeah.
but like we're still doing it. But like, how do you get like better at it?
So like every camera's different. Every shooting style is different. There's a lot of different like technical things, different ways like the ISO and the aperture, and there's people that don't even then.
So awesome.
No idea what that is. Okay.
You just have to like know how to work a camera, and you have to learn about color and contrast and the differences and figuring out like what's good and what's bad and how to frame a photo and just like the whole structure of it all. And then even the most like the hardest part about it is like telling people what to do.
Yeah.
So like saying,
Okay, wait. You can tell your story first.
like saying, I want you to put your arm around her and look at her, and then I tell her a joke, and just trying to get those like good photos, I guess,
Mhm.
like in the moment instead of just the smile.
It's like
a natural.
You gotta set up the whole process
Yeah.
to get the good picture you're looking for.
Yeah, you gotta like be able to talk to them and tell them what to do. Otherwise, people are just like
Not into it.
Yeah, that's my least favorite part about picture taking too. For like every picture ever, they're always like, all right, move to the left a little bit. Oh, move to the right. Oh, just tilt your head a little bit, and it's like,
Yeah.
okay.
Especially when taking family, or like no. What I was gonna say is when you said some people don't know about like how things work. So like when you have like your grandparents or something trying to take pictures and they're like,
You give your
I don't
grandparents
understand
your
it.
phone, and then they
You're like,
end up
"Yeah,
taking
that's
3
fun."
selfies.
Yeah, but I don't know.
okay, but so you're about to graduate.
Mhm.
So photography, you like doing that, and you're kind of an entrepreneur. So how are you like planning on doing that after high school?
So I am attending RCTC for college. I have my first year basically done, and then I will be graduating. I just found out I'll be graduating summer of 22, so I'll have my 2 years done.
You're graduating RCTC summer of 22.
Mhm.
So we're gonna be graduating
Yeah.
high school then.
I graduate same year that you graduate high school, but from college. I guess I have one class in the summer, so I graduate like 2 months after you. But
That seems so weird because
Yeah.
you're only a year older than us.
yeah, I'll
Yeah.
be 19 when I graduate college. But I'm really just doing it so that I have something to fall back on.
Yeah. So what are you gonna be studying or whatever for the 2 years?
I am getting my 2-year in business, marketing, and management. So just to like have that background in case anything goes bad.
Yeah, and it'll help you like a little bit because that's like what you're gonna
That's a
be
pretty
doing.
generic
Yeah.
like wide variety of like
Yeah.
places you can go with that too.
That's down to Florida from Minnesota is an 18-year-old to take pictures for a wedding. Like they've got to be surprised.
That's actually like my biggest fear is like people thinking instantly I'm gonna fail. Like my biggest fear in life is people thinking I'm gonna fail and then failure itself. So like I constantly I waited as long as I could to post about doing photography and post about like doing home decor and redoing signs for people's homes or helping decorate or paint and all that stuff. Like I have been very hesitant to posting about that because I'm afraid that I'm just gonna get that backlash. Like, why would you do that? You're gonna like, how are you ever gonna pull that off? Like, you're just gonna end up in debt. Like, that's like my biggest fear in it all. So me actually making an account this year, I made an account and I named it Olive and Glen because that's what I was planning on naming my store. And I instantly I was like, people are gonna just judge me and say, what's Olive and Glen? Like, so I changed it now to like Grace Sveen Photography because I'm like afraid of that, if that makes sense. But
Yeah.
Well, that's like most high schoolers though. Like even us starting this podcast, we were like, oh, you already know people, and you're like, oh my god, this is stupid. But I don't know. It's like we talked about this a little on the first podcast, but people like are a lot more restricted, and I feel like nowadays too, just like I don't know. It's kind of funny because you see people posting TikToks, like different teenagers from different states. But then it's like in your small school, like how many people do that type of stuff? It's not that many.
Yeah.
It's like rare.
Yeah. So another question: how'd you come up with the name Olive and Glen?
okay, so my middle name is Olivia. And when I was little, I was always Ollie or Olgalina. I know it's so dumb, or I'd be called like Olive. And then my grandpa's name is Glenn, and he passed away when we were in 5th grade. And I lost my grandma as well when I was really young. And so that's always been like something important to me. It's my dad's middle name. And it's just like Olivia is my middle name. Glenn is my dad's middle name. My dad and I have talked about like putting our businesses together because he sells insurance and he's a realtor and all of that. So it was kind of just supposed to be like my middle name, my dad's middle name, my grandpa's name, like just to like make it like meaningful, if that makes sense, instead of just something random.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, that makes a lot more sense. I was gonna say because I had no clue what that was about, and it's cool that it actually has meaning behind it too.
Yeah.
Because like all the business names we've ever come up with for anything
The trash.
are the dumbest things of all time.
It's so
Except
fun.
off the cuff.
It is.
Yeah.
That's like
That's
one of the
fun.
hardest
So
parts
fun.
about creating something
Yeah.
is making like a name that isn't like everyone else's, but it's kind of has like I don't know.
Yeah.
Like yours has meaning to it.
What was our first website name that kind of sounded like an adult film, like
Oh.
industry or something like that?
Okay, we were gonna. So this is when people first started buying like the TikTok lights that you hang in your room.
The LED.
And
Yeah.
we were gonna drop ship them, so like buy them from China and sell them. And what was it? It was like we had a store set up just selling those lights, and it was called the Vibe Shop.
Vibe Shack, wasn't it? I think.
No, I think it was Vibe Shop first, and then we changed it to
no,
Vibe Tech.
It was Vibe Shack. Because we were like, Vibe Shack. And then I told my parents, I was like,
I think
we
it was
got
the
this
Vibe
cool
Shop.
business. We got the Vibe Shack. And then they were like,
That sounds like
what
pure
are you
pleasure.
selling? They were like, LED lights. And they were like, both of us kind of think that sounds a little weird for LED lights. And then I was like, okay, we're changing the name. Not doing that anymore.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the hardest parts, for sure.
I have like lists and lists of names.
Yeah.
And then you gotta like look at other people have the names and copyright and all
Yeah.
that. It's hard. I wish here's your name. There you go.
Yeah, and it's like too, like I don't know. I've thought about just doing like Alex Wood, like just having like a personal brand, but it's like I don't know.
Yeah.
You want to create something that like has like its own brand kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But so you talked about how like it's scary. So you go to Florida. I didn't know this, but you go to Florida to do like weddings and stuff for photography?
I just have one in Florida coming up. It's actually my cousin's wedding, so it was like a good like practice. But then I ended up having 2 before that. But no, my family has always gone to Florida since I was really little, and so it's just a really meaningful beach that we're going to. And then I'm just taking my cousin's wedding photos, and then the other 2 I don't know who they are really, but.
How much are you scheduled to get paid for one of these weddings?
Well, money, that's like a thing that's difficult to talk about, but
Yeah,
Some-
it definitely is. But like, I'm just curious.
some
Like,
wedding photographers, like this one, she's my cousin's stepsister. She has gotten so high up on like her platform that her highest amount, like dollar value for a wedding, is like $9,200. Like it's insane.
So
I'm
if you
definitely
do
not
10
charging.
weddings a year, I mean.
Yeah, you're good. You're set.
So I'm getting into photography now, guys.
But like you said, you take into account supplies and what you need when you talk about
yeah.
your SD cards and whatnot, just being like a very minuscule part of the project that still cost a lot of money.
It's so expensive. Everything like photography is definitely really high up there on expenses. Like,
Yeah.
and even flying down there, I was gonna put my camera equipment, like I don't want to say numbers, but like thousands of dollars of equipment, and I was gonna just put them in my grandparents' car because they're driving down there. I was like, oh, it'd be safer, and my parents were like, no, you're bringing it with. You're bringing it on the air, or you bring it on the airplane.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, what if someone steals it? Like,
So how do you do that with like, what do you take like a backpack, like a duffel bag, and then do you have like one separate thing for all your camera stuff?
so I have one camera right now, like a camera body, a couple lenses, and I'm purchasing another camera soon. But all of the like important, like the camera itself and the lenses have one, like it's like a backpack. It's like a hardcover backpack, so it doesn't get damaged on the plane and stuff. But then I have like my ring light, I have a backdrop, I have different lighting systems and stuff, and all of that I am not putting on the plane. Like, I don't trust that on the plane. But it's a lot. It's a lot more than people ever think. People just think, oh, you just take people out and you take a
Yeah.
picture. But I don't know.
And you've done photography for 2 years.
I've been just like for fun since I was like 12.
And then how long have you done it for, like more of other people kind of thing?
People started asking me probably when I was 15. And
So
then
3 years.
yeah, and then this last year I have like different actual brands asking me to advertise for them and like stuff like that.
Yeah, that's cool. So what's your favorite, like either place or brand or person? What's been like your favorite, biggest, coolest memory of like taking pictures for people?
Taking pictures. I got the opportunity to take pictures of someone proposing, which was really cool. So they like set everything up, and we walked out there and we pretended that I was just taking their family pictures and stuff, and we're out there and they had everything set out in the woods, and we walk out there. I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna take some practice shots, make sure like my ISO and all of that is correct. And they're walking down there and they start doing it, and I'm just like, on my like trying to like get good angles and stuff. And then I got to take pictures of them like finding out they're gonna get married.
Yeah.
But that was pretty cool.
Yeah, I can't imagine the pressure almost.
I was just gonna say, you'd have to work hard to not mess up, because if you don't get any good shots, so they're like,
I was so
I'm
scared.
getting paid.
I was sitting there sweating. I'm like, just take a bunch of pictures.
Yes. Even you just like saying how like you're nervous, like showing up. Like I can't imagine you showing up to like the place in Florida or whatever, and they'd be like, "Yeah, here to take your pictures." And you're like, "Oh hey."
Or like the other two couples, I don't know them. Like I've never met them before. It was
Especially
just
because you're so young too.
yeah. And then people, of course, will stereotype like, oh, she's so young.
Yeah.
And if they turn out good, like. The two other couples that I'm doing, I haven't met them yet. I have a practice shoot with one of them coming up in a couple of days, but the thing that makes me nervous is I don't know their family. So I'll be at their wedding, I'm just like, hey, do you guys want to like get together? I'm gonna take some pictures of you for their like wedding book.
Yeah.
Which is like, people expect that though.
Yeah.
I mean, for the couple weddings I've been at, I mean, that's always like a natural thing. Like everybody always wants to take pictures, and that's like one of the big things that
Yeah.
the family always wants is pictures of everybody that was there. I mean, I feel like it's not like hard to convince people to take pictures, so it's not like, most of the time it didn't seem like it was ever that awkward for like the person that was doing it. They're just like, oh hey, you or you know,
Yeah.
they just go and kind of sort through people.
Yeah.
But so you're just like hopping a flight to the Windy City then, and so you just get off and just meet up with them and just start taking pictures then, or just like start looking for random places to go like start practicing?
Well, so the one in Chicago is actually like 6 days before the one in Florida. So I'll be flying to Chicago. I'm gonna meet them before their wedding and take some pictures with them, just so like, cause I'm not gonna just fly there and be like, hey, I'm the photographer.
Yeah.
But I'll end up taking some shoots with them before, and then when I get there, they'll tell me where everything is. Go meet their family, meet the wedding crew and stuff, take their pictures, then wedding day, take their pictures.
So then, like 2 days before the one in Florida, then you'll be like leaving Chicago, then and going like straight from like, so it'd be like from here to Chicago straight down to Florida.
I think that's what we're gonna do. It seems the easiest,
And
but then
your parents are going with you?
yeah, because
Everybody's going with?
everyone will be going to Florida with us. So, and I'm 5'2", going to Chicago by myself sounds a little scary.
Have you haven't done it before by yourself?
Going like flying somewhere by
Yeah.
myself? No.
Oh, I thought you went to Florida by yourself before.
No.
Okay.
But I guess that does make sense because the second one in Florida you said is for your
Relatives.
cousin.
Yeah.
So okay, so yeah, I guess that.
And like from one entrepreneur to another, like I'm just saying, like
We're not
I feel
official
like
yet.
I know, but I feel like you understand how hard it is to like market. Like I feel like marketing is like the hardest part, no
Yeah.
question. So how'd you get to the point where you can actually start like having other people you don't even know from different states
Question.
being like, hey, we want you to come like take pictures for our wedding too, like one of the biggest days of our lives,
Yeah.
and we don't know who you are, and you're 18 from Minnesota,
True.
like
So that's actually really funny because I'm just now building my website. I just made an Instagram and stuff. I got contacted before I even had any of that. So my cousin just recently had a baby, and I asked if I could do some newborn shots of him just to practice. And 2 days after I asked, she's like, "Oh yeah, definitely." 2 days later, she goes, "Hey, a friend of mine from college is getting married, and they're trying to find a photographer, and I gave her your name." She's like, "She'll probably text you soon." And I get a text, and she's like, all on board with me taking your pictures, and I'm just thinking, well, I'm gonna do a practice shoot with 2 random people. Like I'm just thinking of everything to prep for it, and they just, it's all word of mouth, I guess.
Yeah.
But
that's gotta help. Yeah,
But
so
that's gotta be
help.
exciting too, like, cause this is what you want to do, and then getting like that. Cause is that like your first? Or you've done like other ones in Minnesota though, but is this your first one that you've done? Like,
So I got your Instagram pulled up here with some of
Okay,
these pictures. So
there's like nothing on
oh no, Grant, I can pull them up on my computer so I can put them on the
I was
thing.
gonna say yeah. So just go to like Instagram.com.
Yeah, that one picture on there that I'm looking at is not formatted very well. But
Yeah, that's so crazy though. That's gotta be so exciting. To
just,
be going out of state to. And then back to the price though. You have to guess how much you're gonna get paid.
well, I know all the numbers and stuff right now. I'm not charging a lot right now.
Okay.
Because I haven't done
Yeah,
like
yeah,
we're talking
you're-
like $1,000.
Yeah.
Like not a ton at all. Because
Yeah.
obviously
Enough
I'm
to pay
still-
for your flight there.
Yeah.
What is Instagram password?
But
Okay, but no,
Just
what I was
type in
gonna
mine,
ask
buddy.
is,
Type in mine quick.
alright, what is it?
and then another slash and it's done. Oh my gosh, I literally
Yeah.
just given you the website.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's right there.
So this is one of my family things.
Oh, I can interest a guess.
I don't know if it'll. So it like gives you.
Did you have somebody set this up for you, or did you make
No,
it?
I did it.
You did it. That's dope. Okay.
How much does it cost to keep your website up like a month?
Right now it's free, just because I
Yeah, like
click
a
on
free
the
month
olive
or
and go to
whatever.
the top. Like go to the top and click in the middle.
This.
Cause me and Woody
Okay.
did it and it was like what, 28 a month?
This is just like here. Go on a new page. And type in this. That one.
So here's your Instagram.
Yeah.
So these are a few pictures that you've done locally.
Yeah.
This is your brother.
So yeah, that's the first set. So what do you click out of that?
Is that your
You just-
dog?
No, it's my neighbor's dog.
Do you have a dog?
No, I don't. I want one so
Ah,
bad.
let it get out.
His name is Josie.
Go down to the one with
Air
the
Force Ones?
guitar.
Oh, they're musty though.
So that's my brother, and that's his guitar. He was just playing one day, and I was like, God, just wait. He loves it though. Like he acts like he doesn't, but whenever I take out my kid, he's like, okay.
He gets all excited.
Grant, you have to do that.
Like this is his
Yeah.
background right now. But
Oh, he definitely likes it.
yeah, I tried to like work on like formatting and stuff, and it really did not work out well.
Yeah.
But
That's
I-
such high quality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our camera looks the exact same as that. We definitely have the same quality as those pictures.
And you just created this account?
Yeah, I just got it. Like I
Alright.
just made it. But
Okay. Grace Sveen Photography on Instagram.
Yeah, everybody go follow Grace Sveen Photography.
Sven.
please don't judge me. Please don't make fun of me.
Yeah,
I
don't-
always
don't
thought it was
judge me.
Sveen.
Yeah.
I always thought it was
Well,
Sveen.
there's 2 E's, so I like
Yeah.
spleen, Sveen.
I
Feel
swear.
free to send as many hate comments towards her
Oh my
page as you
God.
want. I'm
It's
just
because
kidding.
I-
Don't do that.
No, it's Sven instead of Sveen because I'm Norwegian.
Because you're Norwegian?
Yeah.
Wait, click on that Air Force One pic.
Dope Air Force Ones
They're
then?
just
Oh yeah?
alright. Okay,
These aren't your feet though.
No, it's not mine.
that's not yours.
They're not my feet.
Cause like I don't know if I find out. Go back to the one. Am I the one that thinks it was a guy hairy? I'm just saying.
Oh,
Like,
no.
Does it not look like a hairy?
No,
lady?
it's just the way your TV shows it. Because I'm here.
Yeah.
It's not.
It's
This is a
Oh,
girl.
God.
yeah, it's my cousin Brielle.
Oh. Sorry, you do not
Sorry.
like hair. Although it is middle winter. I mean.
Gotta say
What
more
are
about
you
it.
doing?
She's gonna
What are you
listen
not
to this.
making this better?
She's gonna listen to that and be like,
Just a little fun. It's right though.
right.
Okay, yeah.
Then I want to say like creative. Like I've always built stuff with my dad, and I'm painting and stuff. Like right now, I'm repainting our entire house, and just like following Bob Ross videos and painting them. Like just the weird stuff like that. Like I've always been into like all of the little creative things. So like painting, literally knitting. I've done like I sold $4,000 worth of blankets over quarantine.
Dang.
A lot. And
How
it's-
much you charge for a blanket? Like $400?
No, I made like 60, 70 like big knit
Grace
blankets.
balling with the entrepreneurship though. Me and Tyler like, hey
man.
Yeah. Back to that, yeah, that's really like I admire that though, cause like there's like nobody, especially from like Stewartville, like you don't see anybody else doing that.
No.
So that's
Yeah.
and that's kind of like not the exact path, but like something that I'd be interested in too. And
Yeah.
like when you were talking about creating things too.
Yeah.
That's something too that I found recently, like just like with doing stuff online and like with the podcast and everything, like something about just like creating things.
Yeah.
It's just like fun. I don't know what it is, but like yeah, I can relate to that.
I feel like it's satisfying too. If you
Yeah.
work really hard and people actually start like buying what
Yeah.
you're selling, I feel like
To
that's
finally
such
have
a
that like
rewarding.
pay off.
I know it's like oh
And it just like being your own thing. Like it there's something about just like having something you made and like living off of it that's
Like
so
I
appealing.
said, just having something you did be successful is definitely
Yeah.
rewarding.
yeah. When you get to the point where other people are willing to spend their money to buy your stuff, it's like whoa,
Yeah.
that's like mind blowing.
To think that other people want what you like,
Can do.
Yeah.
what you did.
that you like made
Yeah.
it kind of thing, you know. Then you also say that in like what are other things like your hobbies and other stuff that you do outside that you want to be able to do.
So I don't really know how to explain it. I mean, by the time I'm 30, I want to have invested and like bought a property and like flipping them. Like that sounds so unrealistic.
Bro, she's baller.
It sounds
Yeah.
so unrealistic.
No, I
but,
know
like,
exactly because I look up that kind of
Yeah.
stuff like all the time.
I love that. Like
That's smart.
I'm hoping
Is
to be
it?
renovating 2 apartments and renting them out and stuff. And
Well, I was talking to them about that, about like
Yeah.
renting out apartments and like passive income and whatnot,
Mhm.
like
Yeah.
making money off stuff that you don't actively have to
yeah.
do to be making the money when it's just being made without.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Wait, so aren't you doing something else right now too besides photography? Do you
yeah.
sell something?
Do I sell something?
Oh yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not to shut up.
No, you're right though. Before you said you're kind of doing your own like stuff,
Oh.
but is that just this?
Yeah, you can.
So,
my headphones died.
I have like a ton of little things. Like people will just say, "Hey, can you do this?" And I'm like, "Oh, sure. I'll figure it out."
It's
And
like
I
side
do it.
hustle
So
kind of
like,
things.
yeah. So some businesses I've made. I use the app like Procreate on my iPad like all the time. I had a company reach out to me. It's like an air duct company. They just clean houses and air ducts and all that. And they asked me if I could design them a sticker to like go on the air ducts after, so they can write like the date and
Yeah.
stuff. So like I've done orders like that, or orders for the store, like just the little things to keep up with, like logo stickers or designing business card. I've done that for a couple of people, and then doing like helping people decorate their homes. I've done
Yeah.
that. I've redone signs, like stenciling and.
So you really are creative, because that's
Yeah.
like interior design, like marketing. You know, that's all like that really like creative aspect.
So are
of
you
it.
interested as far as like making like business cards and like online designing stuff? You like
Yeah.
doing that too?
Yeah, it's like.
Which obviously from your website that we saw,
Yeah.
I mean, is pretty
Yeah.
good,
Yeah.
professional looking.
Yeah, I don't know. I've done like making the blankets. If someone was like, "Can you make that?" I was like, "Sure," and then I ended up selling 70 of them.
Yeah.
But I don't know. There's a lot of like little things that I do, I guess, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's dope. I didn't know any of this, and that's like a lot of the things like I relate to like a lot of that. I feel like
Yeah, that's
that's
true.
like
No,
so
it's
much stuff
true.
we've talked about
Yep.
when
Yeah.
we're like playing video games and stuff. While
That's
Grace is out
right.
there, while Grace is out there bawling, me and Tyler are like,
Yeah.
yeah, we should do this
Yeah.
as we're playing Fortnite. Hey.
Yeah, I'm like genuinely
I
interested
too.
too, because I feel like it kind of like you're right, applies to us a little bit
Yeah.
too. Where it's like when I'm asking these questions, I like seriously am like listening.
I think too, like once you start that thing with the
Mhm.
building, I feel like a lot of people, like especially obviously people who know you and stuff, but just
Yeah.
because you're young and like starting, I feel like a lot of people are gonna want to like support that.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
just really got to get your name out there. I mean, that's with
Mhm.
everything. I mean,
Yeah.
you got to let people know what you're doing and what you have to offer, I guess.
Yeah, there's positives and negatives. That sounded bad. There's positives and negatives to all of this, though. Like me not saying it, like in public, like telling people like what I do, because
Yeah.
like in my self confidence and stuff.
Mhm.
One thing in this last year, COVID, honestly, like really was a positive. Like it's a really bad negative and all that, but
Yeah.
personally, like I've had friends reach out to me because they're upset that I haven't talked to them and stuff, and I'm like, I'm sorry you didn't want to talk to me. So I'm like, I just
Yeah.
spent my time and I worked on like improving myself
Yeah.
and improving my brand, I guess.
Mhm.
But I don't know. It's a lot
Yeah.
of that.
Which, like you said, obviously worked out very well in your favor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like
What are you gonna miss like most about
Yeah.
high school?
About high school.
Because you're graduating. I mean, you guys are literally graduating
Yeah, in a couple months.
in a couple months.
That's
That's
crazy.
crazy.
I guess
That's crazy.
I miss football games. I love football
Yeah.
games. I am gonna miss that. I guess I don't know, just like the social part of it, like seeing Grant every day and being in class with him and like things like that. I will miss being with my friends. I do care.
Oh yeah,
I'm just kidding.
they might be going to prom together this year or something. Maybe.
Day
Yeah.
21.
So how is prom gonna be like the same as normal?
I don't know.
Well, so we were talking about it, and the way it sounds, from what I understood and took away, we have, it originally was just the seniors, and like that was it. And like I said, from my understanding, it is now juniors
Juniors can
too,
go. I
and
think
seniors.
just juniors and seniors.
Juniors are doing it this year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I believe so. So juniors will be doing it as well.
Shawty's hit me up.
But then the other thing we talked about,
Oh my gosh.
Look at a hot girl off TikTok. Yeah. Hey,
just the other thing we talked, no, you can't, because like I was just gonna say, the other thing we talked about,
Can't be-
it's only kids from our school.
Ah.
So that they just like, yes, they expanded it to juniors and
Yeah.
seniors,
Yeah.
but they
We're gonna have to work on
Minimum.
this.
minimized the, I
Yeah, the
guess
risk,
Like,
whatever.
the risk of
yeah.
what
Yeah.
other people might bring
No, that
from
makes
other
sense.
schools, so they just
That's
took
fine.
that aspect out of it
Honestly, I
and
don't
made
care
it
that
in
much.
school only.
Yeah.
It's so weird that we're gonna be wearing masks though.
I
It's
didn't
so,
think about that.
I don't
We're gonna be
see-
dancing with people.
No,
I
no,
just
no,
thought
no,
about
no,
that.
because here's the thing.
Oh, okay.
I bet people are gonna ditch the school. I think
Oh,
people are
no.
gonna be
No one
going
stays
doing
at
their
the
own
dance.
thing.
No, I know, but for the time that you're at the school, because everyone is gonna be
I
there
don't even know
for
if we're
duration.
gonna be.
True.
Like I mean I know people will probably be going to like the plumber house again, like to take all the pictures there, like everybody does every year.
No, I know, but you don't think
But-
they're even gonna go to the school just
See,
for a
the
little
thing
bit?
is, I doubt they'll
The
have
gym's
all
huge,
those
though.
people in there.
The gym's huge.
Like,
Yeah,
how
but
many
do you
people
know
are
how many? It's always
Yeah.
juniors and seniors every single year,
True.
and that place is packed
Yeah.
wall to wall.
Yeah, that's true.
That's true.
Like the line is always all the way through to like the middle school.
Yeah.
With the weather we've been having, dude, do it outside.
Wait, I want to do it on the football field. I think that would
That'd
be
be
I was
so
thinking
cool.
of that.
Which,
I was
okay,
thinking of that.
last guest we had Josh Burrai out in South Dakota in Brookings. They did their homecoming, I believe. They had the people that were on the homecoming court and whatnot all went out on the football field.
Yeah, that's dope.
Yeah.
I was gonna mention something.
You say you think about it, but I was gonna say that just gets me in like working at Quick Trip. I just wish all the time, like I'll see people walk in with like no masks or anything like that, and then they're always like covering up their face. Like, I'm sorry, I forgot my mask. I'm like, I don't really care. You know what I mean? Like, I don't worry. Like, you know,
I'm gonna be the one to get on your ass about it.
yeah, I was like,
sorry, I actually have to call the cops. You need to
yeah,
call the
exactly. I was like, I'm not gonna. I don't care at all. I'm not worried. I think I said every time, like, I'm not worried. It's fine. And just like every time they even like, it's been a year.
More
Since
and more
we started.
people. Every time you go out, more and more people are not wearing masks,
Yeah.
and it's
Well, Texas is opened up.
Yeah.
well, okay, yeah, they got 4 inches of snow, and now all of a sudden they can take on the world.
Texas.
But like,
I was gonna
seriously,
say,
like,
yeah,
it's
you
been
go.
happening for a year, and like, I just get like that feeling, and I'm just like,
yeah.
like, when is that gonna come back? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because I miss it so much when people can just walk in, not to wear a mask,
Yeah.
not to be like, oh, give me this hand
I'm gonna
sanitizer.
call it like the COVID effect. Like, what was it like before we started all this?
Dude, I
Like,
was just gonna say, it's like, we never thought that we'd be missing that. Like, out of all the things we'd be like, when we're graduating and stuff, we'd be like, oh, we're gonna miss being with our friends. We're like, no, we miss just being in school.
Yeah.
Like, having actual interactions with people.
you know, that's kind of one of the funny things. It's just another example of like you don't know what you have till it's gone.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
as cheesy as that is to say, but like it's just
True.
another thing of like, you know, you spend all of your years just being like, oh, you know, I wish I wasn't in school anymore. I wish I was just out doing my own thing. I wish I was doing this. I wish I was doing that. And now it's gone. And I think it was actually really like funny to me when a lot of the people in the graduating class above us
Oh, that was
last
amazing.
year were like, oh, we've got the worst case of senioritis,
Yeah.
and oh, I just wish we could get out of this stupid town, and I hate it so much here. Just small town Stewartville sucks.
Yeah.
And as soon as we got sent home, they were the first ones to be like,
Mhm.
oh, look at, they've taken everything away from us, and
Yeah.
we can't do anything anymore. It's like, okay.
Great
So
call.
I remember when I was
Be
in
careful
Florida
what you
and that
wish for.
happened, someone started crying. Like, because
Yeah,
I was in
I
Florida
just-
at that time, and they were like, oh, you're not gonna have school for like the next quarter. I didn't even know if it was canceled the whole year at that point. And then she started crying. And she was in college, now I think about it at the time. It was just like her like last quarter of college was canceled. We were all like, you're like a
Yeah.
freshman, you have 3 more years.
You know
like,
who it was? Were they with you?
No, they
Oh.
live in
Oh.
like outside of Madison, like
Yeah.
Wisconsin.
But I was gonna say, you guys didn't have your prom last year then.
Yeah.
No,
So this
so
is-
that was a big thing we had talked about is
Yeah.
there's a few select people. Did you go as a sophomore?
I didn't. I
So-
broke up right before, so no.
So I went, I think Araya Herman went,
Mhm.
Noah Senjum went. I'm trying to
Parker
think.
did, didn't you?
I don't
Parker
believe
go
so.
with Lara. Yeah, Parker with Lara, because Lara called me like crying because her dress didn't come in the mail.
Oh
And she
no.
ordered it the week
Oh,
before
no.
prom, and I'm like, dude, you gotta order it a week, more than a week.
The week before prom.
Yeah, and then she ended up wearing, I think, Shay Thomas's.
I don't remember ever seeing Parker there.
Parker with
Was
Lara.
Lara a year older?
Yeah,
Yeah.
then she was a
Yeah.
junior when we were sophomores.
Exchange student.
But yeah, so anyways,
Oh,
there was like 3 or 4 of us that were sophomores that got to go with
Yeah.
seniors.
I almost went with.
Who did you go with?
One.
Mac Walters.
Oh, I do remember that.
yeah. I
So-
didn't really say
I
that.
like
It was just like 3 or 4 of us that got to go
Yeah.
as sophomores, but yeah, then the year after, nobody in our grade got to go.
Yeah.
So that was one thing I did feel bad about is like the seniors last year didn't get to have their senior prom.
Yeah.
And then they told us that we weren't gonna have it this year, and I was like, shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Come on,
Honestly,
I feel bad for the 2020 class. And last year, right when COVID hit, like everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, they got the worst of it." But
Yeah.
honestly,
Oh no, we got the short end of the
Yeah.
stick. I mean,
we didn't have a junior or a senior
Or
year.
senior, yeah.
Most of us have had like 1 or 2 homecomings. If we don't have it this year, like a lot of us
Yeah.
don't have prom.
yeah,
We didn't have a football season. Like we did,
Yeah.
but like we really didn't.
couldn't go to the games and stuff.
And the other like
gonna say volleyball was different.
mhm.
I mean, even
Yeah.
sports now,
Yeah, we can't go.
what they've done, like with wrestling and stuff,
Yeah.
you can't go to any of the meets. Basketball, you know, like this is some of the, like, for girls basketball, another phenomenal year for them. I don't know
Yeah.
if they've lost yet.
I know, right?
I didn't even hear about that.
Boys basketball. But yeah, I mean, it's just like you can't
Yeah.
stay unless
I
you
know.
like actively talk to somebody that's on the team and like
And it's
are
like-
like friends with them. You don't even hear about that.
Yeah,
That's like one of the
it's
biggest
crazy.
parts of high school
Yeah.
is like your senior year is like, oh, like your sports team went to state that
Student
year when
section.
you were- yeah, and it's like everybody wants to be a part of that, and you don't even get to
Yeah.
be there anymore. You got to watch it on a live stream if you want to see
Yeah.
it.
And it's
Your
like
phone dies, you're done.
it's like no offense to anybody, but nobody likes watching sports through a live stream. Like just
It's
being
just not
honest.
as engaging.
No, it's like-
just
Yeah,
it's
my
the
favorite
same
part.
as going to
Yeah.
school online. It's
Like,
like it's just
yeah.
like you have nothing
Yeah,
like
Yeah.
not having the same like aroma, I guess. Not like aroma, it's
and
like
Just the
yeah,
vibe,
environment,
it's like
the same
feeling
environment
people.
where you got all these people.
Yeah.
But it's
Yeah.
like my favorite part of going to those games is just watching people in your grade, like Noah Syndrome or something like that.
Yes.
Just like sitting in the front row and just like screaming something like.
And
That's
Noah
like my
always
favorite-
screams dumb, like dumb
Yeah,
stuff.
that's like the most entertaining part. Like Will or just people like chirping or whatever.
Fishing.
That's the
Like
That's
best
it,
part.
tell 'em!
Yeah, seriously.
Shout out to Noah Sundrum for that one.
And then Will gets kicked out of
I was gonna
basketball.
say Will Morris gets kicked out of basketball games.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, but that's just the fun stuff
Yeah.
that like everybody misses.
Yeah.
And like all the girls like that always made signs for like the football team and whatnot. Like you guys always got together and like made all the
Yeah.
signs before the games and whatnot. Of like, I mean, it just like takes away like all the social aspect from like school in general. And it's like you said, it's so like so depressing to talk about. It's just like
It makes me sad. I know.
It's-
Just like
you
I only
just
got
think
one
of all
year.
the things that you like missed out on or like
I know.
were not as good as they could have been, and it's like,
Okay.
damn.
At least we get, I mean, possibly get the opportunity to have a normal year. It's just weird to think, because, like, I've told so many people this, but, like, I don't even, although the first half of our sophomore year was, like, really great, I don't really remember that much of sophomore year at all, just because that last half got
No,
wiped out.
exactly.
And it kind of
That's the-
erased everything.
The same for our junior year. For us, it's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
like I said, it's like the COVID effect. Like I don't remember like exactly what it was like right before we went into it. I remember like 1 week before everything got shut down because I was in Florida, and I got a text from my dad, and he was like, "Oh, like we're gonna have to maybe change your flight around and stuff because stuff might be getting shut down,
Yeah.
and you're gonna have to come back home, or you can stay down there longer." And I was like, "Well, yeah, I'm staying down here longer." So then they ended up actually moving school back a week because the teachers needed to get prepped, because then they announced we weren't coming back to school
Yeah.
until however late, and then they moved it back like another half a week and then started us online because then nobody was coming back at all.
Yeah. And just, like, talking about that, it's March 10th, so it's basically
Then
a
like,
year from this, like, last year on this day. I think we were on the last week of school before spring break, and then after that we never went back.
Yeah, they're like, oh, your spring break is extended. Oh, you're not coming back.
Yeah. And
yeah,
I've seen
no,
a
that was
bunch
the
of
thing.
No, I remember hearing about it, like, that it was in China. And we're all like, oh, well, Ebola was in China. It
Yeah.
didn't, like, we were fine. I was like, oh, it'll, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Ebola was in
No,
Africa.
that's
Africa.
Yeah, like the bird just said that. I was
You,
like,
sorry, I'm not
Yeah,
doing
you're
that.
good.
But-
You're
So, like, we found out about that, and we're like, oh, it's no big deal. It's not gonna come here. Like, why would it?
Yeah.
Like, we're safe. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. I was in college speech, and we had to do. It was like a 10-minute speech, and you had to memorize the whole thing. And we're like, oh, easy. Let's do it on COVID. And we're like planning it all out and stuff. And we're like, what happened? Because we had to write it as we like found out stuff on the news.
Yeah.
And then we just kept writing it, and then we got sent home, and
And then everything
we were
went
just
downhill.
like, we do our speech online at home, and we're like, well, we didn't think it was gonna get here, but now we're at home.
Yeah.
It came. We didn't think it would come to America, and it did.
Yeah, that whole
and then it went everywhere.
I remember that last week before we went on spring break. Like, I remember it so clearly because me, you, and Cole in Schmidt's class, first hour. And I remember every day, Mr. Schmidt's, and what class was that?
Government.
government, he would just do like the update things, and every day he'd be like coronavirus, like every day, and then it was like slowly, and then by the end of the week it was like, yep, it's entered America, and then all the teachers were saying like, yeah, we're probably gonna have an extra week of spring break and stuff like that.
See, the weirdest thing, Ramsey Miller has called everything in our high school. This dude has never been wrong the entire time we've been in high school.
Like what?
Since we had him for biology as 10th graders to our,
He's been our homeroom teacher forever, so.
he was our homeroom
since
teacher this
ninth
whole
grade.
time, since 9th grade.
Oh, that's a bang.
So we had a 9th grade homeroom, so all the snow days then, he called. All the snow days our sophomore year, when we had that big like storm rushing
I
through,
forgot about that.
all of those, he was like, hey guys, you know, we're gonna be gone for like
This
a day and this day and this day, but that's just what the school's saying. If I had to guess, we'd probably be going out later than that. We were later than that. He was right about that.
Yeah.
And then he talked about COVID, and he's like, yeah, they're saying we might have to stay home for a couple days, but I'm guessing you guys probably won't ever come back.
Yeah.
And then sure as God's got
That's
sandals, we
nuts.
never came back to that place.
It's so funny too. Like, just imagine. Let's go back to like during the football season we talked about during junior year, like that awesome football season and stuff. Like during that time, if anybody would have told us, yep, this a year from now, this is what the world's gonna look like, we'd have been like, oh yeah, okay.
See, and that's the other big thing. Like they always complained about like their year, but at least they got like a whole football season and a whole volleyball season.
It's true.
Like I mean, that's like two of the big sports that like
Yeah.
always like are surrounding.
And like,
like,
yeah, it like
when you
sucks
talk
not to
about,
have that
like,
last
what
like.
happened your senior year and whatnot. Like having volleyball go to state and win, like that's obviously
Yeah.
huge.
Literally our biggest football, wasn't our like biggest football game, you guys came back after being quarantined? Like the day you were done quarantining, the next day
Oh,
was your
this
game.
year, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that was against Plainview.
Yeah. And then we lost
Yeah, that was
against
shit.
Plainview.
Let's not talk about this football season.
No.
Yeah.
Don't bring it up, Grace.
I
Yeah, see,
mean,
the weirdest part too is I feel like at the time, like in hindsight it's different, but at the time when they said, oh, because you know they released it on spring break when the next week off we're not going back to school. At the time, at least I know like a lot of kids like that was like awesome. That was like
oh
yes,
yeah.
yes, we get a
Even
week
when
off.
they canceled school for the rest of the year,
I
at
know,
least
yeah.
for us
Oh,
as
yeah,
sophomores,
we were like,
we were like,
let's go.
everyone's getting 4.0, online school, the easiest thing, everyone's
like,
grades
everybody's-
D's.
Yep, that's the worst grades I've ever
Yeah.
gotten. I think I got a
looked at
D in
2.8
government. Yeah, I
GPA
was like,
Okay,
last
but
spring.
think about this. The ninth graders that came up, they've never had a day of high school.
Yeah,
I
that's
remember
crazy.
the last
full
day of the last day of summer, like I was so nervous to be in ninth grade, and now they're in ninth grade. They have no idea what high school is like.
Yeah.
They don't know what real
They're
like
coming
classes
back
are
next
like.
week.
though. They got junior and senior.
They're coming back next week.
Who?
Next week, all the freshmen are coming
They're all
back.
coming back.
So yeah,
No,
no. But
next week
Monday,
it's just the
Tuesday-
freshmen.
Just freshmen and just the sixth graders.
And then the week after that,
we don't go back next week.
no,
No,
we got one more week of online.
What? I thought we were all
Yeah.
going back on Monday.
No,
no.
the
just
next
the ninth
Monday.
grade,
Next
sixth
week
grade.
it's gonna be all freshmen coming back, so there's gonna be like two
Yeah, so
times more
we're all
freshmen than
online
anybody
all
else.
next week, right? We're
What?
all online all next week, right?
Or is it?
No, it's the same.
It's
like
same.
Monday, maroon, Tuesday, gold. It's that.
Oh, I
the
thought they
ninth
were
graders
having
go
us
back.
go all online, just so like it was just like slowly putting kids like back into school.
No,
I
Oh,
think
they're
it's
just doing the
testing.
freshman grade first, but it's gonna be weird
Testing
having like
you.
double the freshmen and then like all of our grades.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's gonna suck. I'm not gonna lie. The freshman class is like, eh.
I don't even know any of them, to be honest.
I know my cousin and that's it.
Yeah.
And Tegan Malone, because they're dating.
Who?
Tegan Malone and Brielle
Hey,
Johnson.
check out his Xbox account at Chicken Figures.
Yeah, I don't know. Where do we even go from there? That's like,
I don't know. I say you talked about maybe we
That
go
was like,
dance
okay.
or something like that.
We gotta talk about something more interesting.
All right.
we going into tech talk now.
Like conspiracy theories.
I mean, not just. All right,
If
so
we're gonna talk
I
about
won't talk about the pig thing.
a little thing real
Shut
quick.
up,
So
no.
I saw this on the JRE. I think
Joe
yesterday.
Rogan podcast.
So you watched the Bob Lazar one, right?
Yes.
Have you seen that? Do you know anything about that?
No.
It's
I-
crazy.
Long story short, this guy basically claims that he worked on UFOs at Area 51
Oh.
back in like 1950.
No, I watch Impossible. Don't
Yeah.
don't hate me for it. They just had someone
Sorry.
on and they were talking about like aliens and stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I don't know what I think about that.
So, so what I heard is basically, let me pull it up. Basically, Bob, he didn't mention it on the podcast, but Joe Rogan, okay, Grant, you might have to look this up to make sure this isn't
Just
false.
Continue. I can tell you if it's true.
But basically, they didn't talk about it on that podcast. It was a later podcast. Joe mentioned it, and he said that Bob Lazar told him it, like, not on the podcast. It was
Told him
just
what?
a personal conversation. And he said that back when he worked at that place, he heard, like, talks, and you know how he had to read that, like, script thing
Yeah.
about his job?
Yep.
He said that he read stuff about how they think that humans are the product of, like, accelerated growth. So basically, like, aliens came down and there was, like, humans, and it was like they accelerated our, basically, accelerated our being.
So you're
Which is
saying-
like the same talk when they talk about like our video games and stuff, like how 30 years ago the best game we had was Pong,
Yeah.
which like we talked about, I mean, is two,
Yeah.
I mean, lines going back and forth, you
Yeah.
play ping pong on it
Yeah.
too. Now we've got VR,
Yep.
and it's like you're living
Yeah.
in a different reality
And
simulation.
through a certain, I don't know the year, between what years, but it was like a small amount of time in history, the human brain doubled in size, and they don't know why. Like, historians and like scientists have no idea like why it
I think
happened.
Todd Johnson talked about this as like being
No,
like,
I feel like we know why our brain.
Well,
No,
it's
they
like-
don't know why it happened. Look it up. Look it up.
I was watching.
So
I
make
was
sure.
watching something about it today, and I know that we know that our brain grew.
Actually, I'll look it up on the big board.
I know, but when we were different species, right? When we were like our Homo, whatever.
Sapien.
It wasn't
Homo
not,
sapiens.
not even sapien. It was before this.
Yeah,
It
Neanderthal.
like started like
Yeah, when we were just furry monkeys running around, right? And then
Hold up.
I
Look up.
just wait. And I know that what they said was
Why
that
did your brain double in size?
Yeah.
what they said was that a lot of like muscles in our face. You know, I watched this today. It said like a lot of like muscles in your face, whatever. You know, it's like going back in your head, kind of like up to here. And then it got to the point where it's like it shrunk a lot of those muscles, so then you couldn't like move your face much. So it was just more like right here, like right into the surface, which cleared up a whole ton of space right here. So we know our brain got bigger from that. Where it's like, even like our jaw or something like that, where you know it takes up space like here. You know what I'm saying? Like
Where?
all the way up there. And then
Yeah.
your jaw
Your
muscles.
jaw's down here.
No, I know, but like you have an upper jaw too. You know what I'm saying? You have like your muscles and tendons and everything.
It grew 200%.
Your
But
cheekbones?
But you know what I'm saying? Just everything. Where it's like you have all these tendons that are going all the way up here. Where it's like, you know, some people when they can like, you know, move their ears up and down or whatever.
Yeah.
But you have all these like tendons back here.
so what do you stay up there?
Just wait. And they got like considerably
Right there.
smaller to compensate for the size that our brain was getting bigger.
So what you're talking about is like right there. So this thing that I saw is the evolution and like dropping out. So the one you see on the left is a smaller brain, which those were, I guess, like factored out of the equation when the right came in. The larger brain species of mammals, what would evolve into us, came along and basically like beat out, you know, like survival of the fittest.
Yep.
So basically we just evolved into the larger brain mammals and
See, but I don't
came
know.
down from that.
I think it's right, but I don't know if this is, at least from what I've watched from that podcast and everything, I don't know if they have a specific, like, this is 100% why it happened. I don't know if they have that.
But I was gonna say, I
In
feel
3
like
million years, it says the human brain size grew 200%.
Which was
I
a
don't know.
relatively short amount of time, and
If you think
long
about all of
history.
history, yes, that's
Yeah.
relatively short.
and I get that, but I don't know if I buy into that one as much because I feel like that is explained.
the
a
aliens
lot
about
more.
accelerating.
No,
Growth?
that or just our brain.
Yeah.
You know, getting bigger because I feel like our brain can be explained like what I said, where it's like, you know, it's just through evolution. 3 million years isn't a lot of time in terms of
But in the
evolution.
grand scheme of
that's
humans,
what I just
that's
said.
really
it's not a lot of
fast.
time.
So this is what Todd Johnson talked about right here.
And the
eating,
food
eating
too.
meat.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
not
true.
eating raw meat
Cooked.
when
Cooked.
we started using fire to cook it.
Yeah,
And
that's actually a good point.
Which is, I think that we have a couple explanations
Yeah.
to say why our brain has grown.
yeah,
And I think that it could be just a random thing. Where
but
it's like we discovered that putting it into a flame for 5 minutes just
Yeah.
randomly helps you, helps
But what do
your
you
brain.
think about that like theory that
So-
aliens could have accelerated our growth? Because like
Where I was gonna go from that?
Here, wait. Let me.
Yeah,
Okay,
go.
I'm about to pull it up. But you showed me the box AI.
Yep.
Thing.
Yep.
If you guys don't know what that is, it's. Can you
We'll talk about it
explain
in a
it?
sec. We'll talk about it in a sec.
Okay.
I said, just let me finish
Go
this
ahead.
thought. So what I would like determine from what you're saying, or what like comes to my head originally, isn't like when we're Neanderthals, you know, and there's aliens coming down like, oh, here's how to eat this piece of food. I'm thinking of it like, if you've ever heard of this, where it's like the Egyptians, where at that point in time, where it's like, you know, they even have these murals where there's gods coming down and giving them stuff, or we have no clue how they build pyramids like that. And then it's like, you know, this is a theory that's not the same, but relatively close, where you have these gods that, you know, come from the sky and like they look like a sun, whatever, and then that's in Africa, right? You know, that's in northeastern Africa, and then across the ocean, no one's ever been to North or South America. You know, Columbus found it in 16 or 15.
Christopher Columbus, is he real or not?
He is.
Have you heard that?
Is he real?
Like, have you heard, like, is that a true story?
Yeah,
Have you heard about that?
also on Joe Rogan, Neil deGrasse Tyson kind of called him a dick, so I did.
Well, he was a bad person. This has
Yeah.
been like stated now.
Yeah.
Because what he did to like Indians and stuff like that.
Yeah. But back to what I was saying. So that's in northeastern Africa, and they have these pyramids of designed around praising their gods. That give them
They
this new
have the
technology.
same pictures of the gods coming down.
I know. And then you have a completely undiscovered continent where way before, you know, we're talking BC. Like, we're talking hundreds of years before, where it's like, you know, the first time we discovered could be like Vikings, which is 500 years after that. On a whole different part of the earth, you have the same, relatively the same thing.
Yeah.
Where you have the Mayas, the Incas, all those people indigenous to Central and South America that have these temples that are still there today, where you go, damn.
Yeah.
You know, how'd they make that with the same thing? Where you go, they have people coming down from the sky that are like, they have their sun god and they make sacrifices that, and you go, what are the odds that you have people completely on different sides of the planet that have very similar structures and
but like
very
this-
similar ideologies?
This right here, bro, the Inca ones always trip me out because they had like, I don't know if it's the exact ones, but a lot of stuff that was like this, like stuff they built on the side of a mountain, like that type of stuff is like.
It's
Well,
nuts.
and like you look at things that are like the pyramids of Giza, and they talk about those. I mean, it's statistically impossible, or almost impossible, for those to have been built in the time frame that they were, and in the time era that they were built.
Yeah.
It almost statistically cannot happen.
Yeah.
So, like you said, Ty, I mean, the chances of a coincidence that they are on, like you said, completely different sides of the world and have the exact same thing going on, I think is what they look at, and just kind of stumps people.
You even take a step back from the ideology, or I mean from the architecture, and even you can look at their ideology and go, they're really similar.
Yeah.
And what are the odds they have similar buildings, and then their belief is really like similar, you know what I mean? They both have these sun gods that are a big deal, that come down from the sky, that they have to honor, and you know, they make these for them, which it's just crazy.
Okay, so I've got a thing to talk about with that, specifically about the pyramids. So do you know who Graham Hancock is? He basically has studied this, and he thinks that there was a civilization before the people, the Egyptians, basically. So he thinks that the Egyptians didn't actually build the pyramids, and that there was a way more advanced civilization before them that got wiped out. And like, it's very possible because like people look at like the like meteors and stuff and like giant impacts, and so he thinks that there's like maybe possibly a period of time that just got like wiped out, because like Grant said, it was almost like impossible to know how they built those at the time. And the Sphinx, let me see if I can find a picture of it.
See, the only problem I have with that is like the fact that we find no remains.
Yeah, so you think you find, if he said a meteor, you think we find a crater?
Because even if they say like, oh, like it must have landed in the ocean and wiped it out, it's like, okay, well, why is why are they in the desert then?
So
like, why
I
is it
don't know
still
exactly.
completely dry?
I don't know enough about this to really talk about it. I heard it on the podcast, and basically he was talking about how there's like specific like water erosion marks on the Sphinx, and scientists have like looked at it, and I don't know, I can't find a direct picture, but there's like water erosion marks. And so I don't know how he was using it to explain, but he was basically saying that like the Sphinx could be way older than we think it is. And so if there's water erosion marks, there could have been water like
been there for a long period of time and water running down.
You guys need to watch that
Which
podcast.
it also could have just meant that it rained in the desert a long time ago, and there was a certain puddle that built up on the top of the Sphinx, and it just ran down certain ways.
If that's a puddle, that's like a lake, like that's a massive.
No. I'm saying build up on like the head of the Sphinx that the water runs down every sinle time.
But it's
yes,
like
it would take a
an
long period
erosion
of time
line,
to do it.
though. Yeah, I understand.
It would take a long period of time, but it's still not impossible.
But
I would definitely say water erosion marks from rain that used to be in that part of the desert.
yeah,
I don't know.
But also
I'd
think
say,
about-
'cause if you talk about a uniform line, I don't.
that's
think
more erosion
like,
of water being
yeah,
against
That's
it.
like just for like a long period of time.
But the ones that just showed were vertical lines.
That's what I'm saying. I don't really. I
Well,
don't know if I.
but then moving on, so Woody mentioned it before too. And I know that us three talked about it, but we talked about AI, and Woody mentioned it about this AI game that was set up by scientists.
Do you know what that's
So
called?
you're going back to the whole advancement of, just so people know, you're going back to the advancement of people at very rapid pace, and now you're going to get into AI advancing at very rapid pace.
This doesn't have to do with as much
Well,
as like the people aspect.
The
Where it's
reason
like
I
we're
brought
getting
it
this
up
technology.
was because I was comparing it to maybe aliens, like speeding up the pace of our
I
evolution.
don't.
Which is
I don't
like-
know.
Yeah, okay, so it's an interesting thing though, because like when we look at AI like that, like almost like it's an experiment kind of thing where you're just observing, it'd be like really interesting to think about it that way though.
In what way?
Like that as humans, we are just some aliens like experiment that they're doing.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I buy into that as much.
But like the thing that Ty's talking about, I mean, with alien help of our advancement, I mean, you look at this AI game he's talking about, those things, explain to
I was
him
gonna
the
say,
game.
just
Explain
pull
to
it
him
up.
the game first,
I
and
say,
then we'll
yeah,
get into
you
this.
pull it up. I know you were
What's
about to
it-
make
do
a
you know what it's
comment,
called?
but just let me explain it real quick. I don't know what it's called.
Right.
But so there was
Just
an AI.
look up like AI box.
Yep. But there was an AI game that was designed where there's 2 hiders and 2 seekers, and the people who made it don't do anything. You know, they don't. It's like they're physically playing.
That one right there.
You know, but just wait. No, pause this one.
Copyright?
Yes, we can't play videos.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll let it die.
But that, see right up there, there's 2 seekers, 2 hiders.
Right
You
here.
can just see it on that picture. And then the way it goes is they just let it run on its own for pretty much ever. It just continuously runs. And then it's 4 AIs. And there's, over the rounds, you know, at the beginning, we're talking millions of tests, like a lot of tests.
Mhm.
In the very beginning, you know, like the first, like thousands, it's just a box with these people, and then the hiders get caught almost every time
Yeah.
for like the first like thousands of rounds.
And there's,
And then they're
there's a
giving-
box and a ramp
I was
that's
gonna say,
also in there.
and then they're given shapes, so then like the hiders are, so they can work with that. And then over thousands more blocks, they slowly start to learn, almost like evolution, you know, just this thing over time, where they slowly start to learn that they can position this box and ramp that they're given in a spot to like hide, where even if they get caught, you know, they survive for longer than they did before.
Yeah.
And you know that it just keeps going, and then eventually, you know, a couple million rounds later, and like a tweak of the map, these hiders get to the point where they aren't found, where it's physically not possible, where they just box themselves in, and then they can never be found. And then a couple million more later, just to sum it up, you know, then the seekers find a way to, you know, get on top and then like look down and see them.
Mhm.
And then you just keep going by these millions of rounds, these chunks, and it just keeps going back and forth
Yeah.
until it gets to the point where they're given different shapes, and then the hiders actually go outside of the box.
Don't they team up? The hiders and the seekers team up, and then they get outside of the game, I believe.
I don't know if they team up, because I think in their programming the seekers are
They're always against each other,
so they're
but the
always
thing
against each other,
is,
but the hiders
first
get
set-
out.
the first set, like you said, of hiders get out, and then the seekers jump out, and that's when they stopped the programming of the game. When the AI got out of the box and they shut down the program.
Yeah.
So basically, these AI learn to like evolve over a certain. It sounds so dumb explaining it because you've probably never seen the
I
video.
have no idea what you're talking
Watching
about.
the video, it's super interesting.
It's kind of terrifying though. I'm not gonna
It's
lie.
scary
If you
because
think about it.
basically they're like these little AI robots and
Yeah.
they're thinking for themselves and they learn how to escape the game that they're put in.
Which is, long story short, the moral of the story is why they shut it down is they were almost not afraid of the AI because it's not like the AI can actually do anything, but just the fact that the AI.
Yeah, it just shows
Like-
that tendency where it's almost that Terminator type tendency where it's like they start thinking for themselves or even beyond the parameters of the people who constructed them, right? Where it's like we know that they can't get out of the game, you know? And then they get out of the game and they're just left like, oh.
Yeah. I remember the first time you two showed me this video, and that's like so. I don't know. It was so kind of
I don't know.
like you said. It was kind of terrifying. But this movie, you guys need to watch the movie Ex Machina, or maybe is that how you say it? Maybe it's
That's how you say it. Ex Machina.
Ex Machina. Have you seen it?
Nope.
Have any of you guys seen it? You guys need to watch
I
it.
don't even know what it is.
It's about an AI. Basically,
What is AI though? Like, is AI
Artificial
It's AI,
intelligence.
it's artificial intelligence.
like a robot
Okay.
who can
Yeah.
think for itself.
Okay, yeah.
So like Siri and like the Google search
Yeah.
bars are like basic forms of
Basic
AI,
forms,
where it
yeah.
just it takes all your search results and groups it. So it,
Yeah, but basically in this
Definitely.
movie, it's made by a horror film company, I believe. So it's got this really like horror film like vibe to it. But basically, this millionaire guy who's like this complete genius creates like the first ever like sentient like lifelike humanoid AI, and I forgot what the test is called. Do you know what the test is called to see if an AI is sentient?
I don't. No, I don't.
I forgot. There's a name for the test, and it's basically like you take a test subject, and
The Turing test.
you allow that person to just be with the robot, and then if that person thinks that it's like a real person, then they like pass the test. And so basically they're going through, just to like spoiler alerts I guess, but basically they goes through, the guy talks to her and this robot starts flirting with him. And long story short, the robot manipulates him, and so emotionally like makes him think that she likes him. And what she does is uses him to get out of the place. And it's like creepy because this robot, like whoever plays her in the movie, she does like an amazing job.
It's a person. It's not a robot. It's a person actor.
It's a person
So
playing the
tries-
robot, but she has like
Okay.
CGI.
Okay.
It's just, she doesn't look like a person, but it's really like eerie because in the end they kind of like talk about it, and basically she manipulated him to get to the outside world. She kills the creator and the other dude, and she basically runs away. And then the last scene is like her walking in New York City, and she's just like an AI and nobody knows it. But it's like really creepy because she like manipulates people.
I don't know, AI is scary. I feel like a lot of the leading people,
Really
a lot of the
scary.
smart people on the planet would agree that AI has gone a little too far.
It's trippy
like,
to talk about too.
It is.
Because like in the movie, you get this vibe where it's like, you know that thing is not a person, but at the same time, it's communicating with you, talking and asking questions just like a person.
Well, that's kind of like third person omniscient almost type of a thing where it's like, like and
What?
in like a story point of view and whatnot, and it's like, isn't it like
They're watching you.
what do they call it? Like the irony in like stories, like when you know, it's like dramatic irony or something, like when you know what's
When
going
you know
on in
what's
the
about to
story,
happen.
Oh yeah.
but
People
the
don't.
characters don't.
Yeah.
And that's what I think gives it that feel, is it's like we know
It
what's
might
going
be,
on,
but
but the
I think it's
characters
also
don't.
just the fact that just the fact of AI in general, like the fact that you know that's not that's not a real human, but it's artificial. But going back to like the conversation we were having earlier, what if I also heard this, what if humans were like the only, like, you know how certain species are born with different mutations and different things that allow them to survive and do whatever? What if humans were the only thing that were meant to have a consciousness as advanced as ours?
What do you mean?
Because people always question like, why hasn't there been aliens that are smarter than us, or why haven't we seen aliens yet? But what if like the human, what's our, we just said it. What's the human
Homo
like?
sapien.
Homo sapien. What if
Homo
that
sapien
species,
sapien.
our
Homo
consciousness is specific to like a Homo sapien? Like, what if that's not something that other things, basically like generate? What if it's just something unique to humans?
I'm not so like confident that it's that we are the only ones that are as smart as we are. I'd be willing to bet a pretty penny that we are not the only ones that are as smart as
Oh,
we
no,
are.
I agree.
It's just
I
the
believe-
fact that
no,
we
no,
haven't found
I
it
said
yet.
it's not that he's saying smart. It's just that he's saying, what if there's another AI type thing out there where it's like on a different planet? Because you know how we know there's other life, right? What he's just saying, what if on a different planet there's people where they don't understand, they don't have the same like thinking in our brain where it's like, oh, you know, we're alive, you know, it's feeling where it's like we're living. What if it is like this AI where it's just or almost like bacteria, you know, where it's alive and it's doing stuff and it's, you know, it's growing and changing and do whatever, but it doesn't physically like understand.
See,
and
but
have that
that's
same
the thing.
idea.
Without like a regular person that's sentient, thinking they know their being, I don't think you get AI because it's not like they're just random bacteria, like you're saying, that are building robots and building AI like that. Like, I feel like to get to where you're building robots and stuff like that, and building
He doesn't.
AI.
We don't necessarily mean robots, you know.
I
I'm
know,
talking
but
more
to
about
build an AI,
organic.
you've got to be able to program something to think it's sentient. So you have to have a sentient being to know how to program something to think it's sentient.
That's kind of true.
You can't. It's like you can't start with the.
Yeah.
You can't
Not
start with the
sentient.
end.
Yeah.
You can't start with all of a sudden a sentient alien being like, or sentient AI being created.
I don't know. That's just crazy.
A question too is like, what creeps us out, do you think, about like an AI that is like sentient? Like if you guys watch that movie, like what do you think it is that like creeps us out about that?
I think Hollywood does like a number on that though, where it's like
Yeah,
you
but
have movies like Terminator where it's like, oh, AI realizes that it's an AI, and then they just decide to go and kill all human
But
race.
also,
I don't
though,
know if
like,
that would.
Have you seen like the Ellen talk show and stuff where they have that one robot lady on?
Yes.
Like
Yes.
I don't even think it's that. I think there's
Sophia.
really something about when you see like a real AI, there's something like uneasy about it. There's
Yeah,
something
I think
that's-
Hollywood
It's just that we're
sure
not
does a
used
number
to
on
it yet. Is
Yeah.
another big thing. Like it's not like super popular yet. I mean, the thing is,
or
like
present.
Tyler's saying, yeah, Hollywood's done some of that where it's like we
Like I think they've
yeah,
made a
about that
serious
stuff.
impact on that.
Yeah.
But could AI get sentient and think, oh, we can help these people and we just further together?
Yeah.
Yes. But also you look at anything that's been sentient and anything that has gotten big, like over the
Okay.
course of time, like, you know, like think of like empires starting up and
Yeah.
whatnot. They all start with one individual, one sentient being that wants power. And I'm guessing that everybody on the planet wants to be, you know, something.
And that's a weird
And
thought to
everything
think
wants to
about
be
too,
big.
though. Well, that's a weird thought where it's like, once like there could be different AI, and I feel like that's a weird thought to think of. Where there could be an AI that is nice, you know what I mean? There could be an AI that's, if you ever seen the movie I, Robot, I don't know, it's kind of a bad comparison, but where you have these
Or like Chappie.
200 AI that
Those
are like,
things.
oh yeah, we're bad. But then there's one where it's like, oh no, I'm fine.
Or like
Because they have different thoughts. It's literally exactly like
Yeah.
raising a child, where it's like, you know, if you raise one in like a good, positive
That's
environment.
like Chappie, like the movie.
okay.
It's like you guys are
Or like Star Wars too, because I feel like that's one of the best examples because like there's sentient robots like going on like the geek mode, like R2-D2 and stuff. He's sentient, like he's thinking, interacting
and
with
like
people,
in the newest movie, I feel like the best.
but they're
example-
connected.
Yeah, I feel like the best example is in the newest movie, whether you like it or not. C-3PO, right before they retrieve the Sith,
Yeah.
like Dad goes by, he goes, they're like, oh, what are you doing? He's like, I'm just taking one last look at my friends.
Yeah.
Where it's like, you know, like he genuinely cares.
Yeah.
Actually, or it's not like
He's got feelings.
he's just where it's like,
And
you
I
know,
think
they're trying to
that's
deep
where,
feelings.
like you mentioned, how Hollywood has impacted it in a negative way, there's a very good chance that we kind of just like merge with technology too, just like we are
That's
like with Elon Musk and the Neuralink and
Yeah.
us already carrying our phone everywhere.
Mhm.
Like there's a chance
I was
that
gonna
we
say,
just kind of like
that's what Elon Musk has talked about a ton.
yeah,
And if you don't know, we like praise Elon Musk. Like
Elon
we
is
know,
go.
yeah, I say we know everything he talks about. But where he talks about this like symbiosis, where he's like, we're like already, you know, our phones are already an extension of ourselves. You know, you don't go anywhere without your phone now.
Yeah.
And it's just getting more and more like that though. And it's not necessarily a bad thing, because you know, you can think faster, you can do all these things
Yeah.
just quicker with your phone. But he says he doesn't see like a reason or rhyme or rhythm for us to like stop that. You know what I mean? It's just gonna keep going.
Which in the JRE, he also talked about, I believe, with Joe Rogan, a chip that's like,
That's Neuralink.
yeah, that's implanted in your head.
Mhm.
That
Yeah,
is like basically like almost an AI extension of your brain, which basically,
Which is nuts. He
which
said that he wants to come out with that in 2022.
Well, he said the
That's-
basic version of it is in the beginning. It's gonna help people who have certain conditions. So like
Yeah.
if you're paralyzed or something, I believe he said
to
he can
reactivate.
it kind of fire certain parts of the brain that aren't working, and so then they work again. But he said specifically eventually that he thinks it'll be able to like improve your eyesight and make you think faster, like that type of stuff.
And
That's where we start
No,
seeing.
I think that the physical aspect of it was his original design.
Yeah, yeah,
Where
that's
it's
what I'm
for
saying.
when people get like, I know that you made that sound like it was his like end goal.
Oh, yeah.
I think his end goal is to make it almost like a
AI's
It's supposed to be a
or
computer
a
inside
computer
your
in
head.
your
a
head.
computer
yeah.
head.
Yeah.
That's the end goal. But the original one is to help, like he said, where people with what's it called, epilepsy or
Yes,
you know,
yes,
brain
that's what you
disorders,
mentioned.
where it's like, you know, you have like almost like bipolar
Things
or
that you can't
epilepsy.
control like
Where
that.
it's
where it
mental
can-
disorders, where it's like
Yeah.
your brain's either releasing too many hormones or you know,
Yes,
reacts this way,
exactly.
where it can like deep
It
tissue
can start.
stimulation.
It can start the firing.
It's trippy.
Where it has like deep.
It can start the firing. Or it can cancel.
I'm just sitting there like, yeah.
It's basically where it can start the firing or it can cancel it, which
Yeah.
basically
Yeah.
makes your brain think not normally but normally.
Mhm.
Which
Where it's
is
like
the
it
big
can.
the big thing he was talking about is advancing that, so like our brain normality is furthered and advanced, because like you said, with the whole symbiosis of us and our phones, like our phone is an extension of us, where it basically takes out the middle thing, the symbiosis of us
Yeah.
and our phone,
It takes
and
up-
basically like our phone is now a part of us, and we have that AI, we have that computer system already in our head. Like it's kind of like a very like small part of it, but like you think having like a calculator in your head, almost type of a thing. Like if you just had like features of your phone in your head,
Well,
like
yeah.
having a calculator and that kind of stuff, like doing math like that. I mean,
Well, then
Like-
it's gonna get to a point where it's like, and they also talked about this where it's like, your memory's good, but it's really not that good. If you try to think about a moment that happened even earlier today, you can't recall the exact situation of a room, but your phone can take a video and pick up everything in the room. If you have that in your head, you can remember like exactly everything. So it gets to a point, and all that type of stuff gets to a point where it's like there's gonna start being super people.
Cyborgs.
and
Kinda thing.
once that happens, that's pretty much like
It's gonna be
fastest
what
advancement of humans
Mhm.
that we will have ever
And you go.
had.
Grace, you got anything to say?
I was gonna say, like, some things are like having a calculator in your head, it can be taught. Like, there's people that their life is, I'm gonna memorize every single equation in the world, and they have it. Like, there's
Yeah.
people that, you know, like,
Yeah, like
what's
photographing.
1 billion
Have you seen the
thousands
guy?
of
And his
17?
the claim with that though is that, you know, that teaching takes so long. You know, where
Exactly,
you have
yeah,
people
yeah.
that spend like
Lifetime.
a quarter of their life learning how to do that. Where
Like
you,
the dude that recites like 100,000 digits of pi.
Mhm.
you know what I mean?
Yes.
That takes him so long, where then you have this chip in your head and that cuts that time. It blows it away.
Exactly, and that's what he was talking about, is giving it to the average person. The average person that doesn't spend a quarter of their life trying to learn it.
Yep.
An average person that you just take this chip, it's in their head,
Yeah.
right away
The-
you're granted access to those features that your brain isn't able to.
The two issues I have with that though are that one, I think that the timeline that he has for almost all of his like inventions, creations, I think he likes to get a little ahead of himself in terms of when he says he's gonna release
I
them.
think it's true, but I
Because
also
Who's he?
Elon Musk.
Elon
Oh,
Musk.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably good that you
It's
asked that.
also-
Yeah, Elon Musk, because you know he did say that he wants to start human testing in 2022, and I think that's a little.
Well, he
much.
also said that he thinks we'll be able to communicate without talking in 10 years.
Which even that, I mean, and
like
then
telepathy.
I think his
Like
timeline
with
for
the chips in our brain, we can
Yeah.
basically.
but I just think his timeline for it seems a little exaggerated.
See, but the big thing
Dude,
that's
I can't judge
Elon
my
Musk
boy
in
Elon,
a
though.
sentence, he is always trying to do the max amount of stuff in a
Oh,
short
yeah.
amount of time. I mean,
Yeah.
he's
That's
always
what's
setting the
working.
biggest goals for himself,
Yep.
so it's like,
And then my second issue though is that what are the odds that's price affordable to someone like us?
He said it's
That's-
not going to be. Right?
Yeah.
Zero. I mean, there's no shot
That's
that
the case.
unless you are worth $180 billion like
It's
he
just
is,
gonna.
you're not gonna get access to that anyway.
That's gonna be sus too, because then it's like rich people are gonna
They're
have
gonna
access
be
to that,
elite. You know,
Which
and
will
they're
be-
already balling, and now they're gonna be
which
smart.
will be
It's
a
like,
part of the reason why people will not want to start that testing.
yeah. Okay, so one more thing that I wanted to talk about to finish off that I heard today that regards to all this is like this is just kind of a theory too, but that I don't know if it's autistic people. I believe it's autistic people. So you know how there's like a really wide variety of people who have autism who are like savants who have
Yeah.
like
but very uncommon. But yes,
it's
Regular.
uncommon, but it's common as far like when people with autism,
Yep.
like a lot of people who don't have like that don't. It's not as common. You know what I'm saying?
well, it's not common for autistic people at all. Like
I know, but I'm saying like we see people with autism that have it. You,
so
you
for
know what I'm
example,
saying?
I feel like the most known one would be Cody Lee, the America's Got Talent guy, where
Yeah,
he can barely even like talk. Where he's standing on the stage, you know, he's blind. He's just like going
Yeah.
back and forth like this.
Hawking.
And then Stephen Hawking.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the same.
But even
That's
not
not-
having autism though, whatever the other ones are too. But
But
basically the point
autism
is,
is a big one. There's that. Yeah, he's rocking on stage like this, and then he starts playing the piano, and then he plays it better
Yeah.
than all four of us. at the
That's
same time.
very
Yeah.
common though with people with autism.
that's what I'm saying.
That-
Like it's
I don't
small.
that is very common because
I'm
you
saying
take
that
away
too.
some sense of people. You take away a part of people, and another like hyperactivates. It's just like the same thing with blind people. That's why they can hear so well. Is one
No,
big thing. Like you take away
I know.
one sense, and it gives you stellar. in
But
the
not
moment.
even close to like the level that.
Yeah, obviously it's like a 1%, but when you look at the amount of autistic people or whatever it is, and then
Where
I
it's
feel
not.
like it's a very
very few
common thing.
people.
No, but
You know, autism is
One
like
out of
that,
every
like,
10. No,
more
no, no.
common than
This
you
is
think.
what I mean. Estimated that 1 out of every 10 autistic people are savants. That's a high number, bro.
no,
I was
I
gonna
know,
say,
but
that's
I
quite a few.
think the
One out of-
level that you're thinking that they're operating at is not as high.
Yes,
They're not
obviously.
Rain Man walking into a casino just being like.
Okay,
count
yes,
cards,
but
$5
here's the main
yeah.
point about it is that Joe Rogan was talking about
Okay.
with this. It was a scientist who studies this, and he was basically saying like, this is just a theory, obviously, but he was saying like, what if these people are actually, basically people. This is what we're gonna evolve into, and not necessarily maybe like having the certain disabilities that they have, but just like one part of your brain being so smart and
Yeah.
us not being maybe able
It's
to
the hyper
communicate.
functioning, like having that
Yeah.
brain level, like it says, abilities beyond those of ordinary folks. Just where from where our brain is at now, it's very high functioning
Yeah.
and very fast paced
All right,
growth.
we gotta wrap this
Yeah,
thing
so
up, boys.
we'll-
It's an hour and a half.
We'll wrap this up.
All right,
but,
so-
do you have any things that you want to say
Grace,
at all?
say your Instagram and stuff
Yep,
again.
I'll say plug yourself.
My Instagram is GoSven, GoSveen. My photography Instagram is Grace Sven or Grace Sven Photography. I don't know. Dude, we should have talked about like cryptocurrency and like all that stuff.
Next podcast.
Next podcast.
There's not enough time in a podcast.
Yeah.
I was
Okay.
talking to you about her. I feel
Oh, yeah.
bad. Because
Oh,
the past
why?
half an hour, 45 minutes. is
Yeah, we're
less-
we were
just
talking.
like,
That's
yeah, I
crazy.
know
And
what
then-
you're talking about.
That's how I felt for the Josh podcast. You three were
Yeah.
talking about football, and I was kind of just like,
Yeah, I
Yeah.
was sitting here and they're like, what?
Yeah.
that's kind of cool.
Like, what does
I
that
think
word
so.
mean? Wait, what does that word mean? I'm like, I'll just say here.
All right. Well, that's fine.
All right,
It's
so
just how it is.
to wrap it up, Grace, do you have any final thoughts?
I don't think so.
You
Thank you.
shout out your own socials.
I didn't know which way
Wait,
you
check
wanted
out
to say.
check out the website though for photography.
I
Just
haven't published it completely, so.
just plug it anyway, so that people can know because she's good at
Grace
taking
is balling.
pictures. So if you need to take pictures, let her know.
Yep.
Plug it real quick.
Go follow our TikTok, Off the Cuff brand, YouTube. We're Off the Cuff podcast, and Spotify is just Off the Cuff podcast. So yeah.
So you people have a
Good.
beautiful night.
Thanks, Grace, for coming on.
Yeah, thank you for being here.